Depending on where you live, you may call them ginger nuts, Arnott's biscuits, brunkage, speculoos, or pepper cookies in the appropriate Swedish, Finnish, Latvian, Estonian, or Norwegian languages. In the United States and Canada, however, we call them Gingersnap cookies. Ginger or pepper cookies are a well-known cookie worldwide. In fact, they top the list of favorite cookies in New Zealand, Australia, and the UK. While enjoyed year-round, they are most popular around the holidays, particularly between St. Nick's Day, December 6th, and Christmas. I'm really excited to share my version of Gingersnap cookies today. In fact, the reason I created this cookie recipe was purely out of need. I know that sounds strange, but I was planning to make my Nutella swirl pumpkin pie with Gingersnap crust, but my local store was out of Gingersnap cookies. After a few days, the light bulb went off. I realized I don't need a store when I can make my own. And then it occurred to me, why haven't I been making my own Gingersnap cookies for years? And there it was. I took my molasses sugar cookie recipe and played with the ingredients until I got that nice Gingersnap crisp I needed for my pie crust. And here we are today. These cookies make a great holiday gift for your friends or neighbors, and they work great as the main ingredient in a Gingersnap pie crust. Let's get to baking. For my crispy Gingersnap cookie recipe, you'll need butter, granulated sugar, molasses, egg, all-purpose flour, baking soda, ground cinnamon, ground cloves, ground ginger, salt, and cracked black pepper for that extra bit of spice. To get started, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And then in a large bowl, you're going to need 6 ounces of room temperature butter, which is about 1.5 sticks or 12 tablespoons. If you forgot to set your butter out to come to room temperature, just dice it up and stick it in the microwave for 10 seconds and it'll be soft. Then using a mixer, you can use a stand mixer or a hand mixer. You just want to soften up that butter and get it all kind of blended and mixed in together and smooth it out. To our butter, we're going to add 1/2 cup of granulated sugar and just run the mixer again to mix up that butter and sugar. To that, we're going to add 1 egg that's also at room temperature. If you have forgotten to set your egg out, see my video on how to bring eggs and butter to room temperature quickly if you forget. Go ahead and whiz that up. We're going to add 1/4 cup of molasses. When you spray your measuring cup with cooking spray, liquid sticky ingredients come out pretty clean. And then whiz that up. Our wet ingredients are mixed up really well. You can see that consistency there. All right, so we're going to set this aside. We're going to come back to it in a minute. In a separate medium bowl, you're going to add 2 cups of flour. That's my 2nd cup. 2 teaspoons of baking soda. 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. 1 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And for my secret ingredient, 1/2 teaspoon of cracked black pepper. I know that sounds odd, but the black pepper is not uncommon to find in a ginger cookie, and it adds that extra bit of spice. So then we just whisk it all together and make sure it's all nice and combined when we add it to our wet ingredients. Take your dry ingredients and then just add them to your wet ingredients. And then use a spatula and just mix it all up well. If you're using a stand mixer, just turn your machine on low and then just mix this enough until it's all combined. So you're going to end up with a thick dough once it's all mixed up. In a small bowl, you're going to add 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. This is what we're going to use to roll our Gingersnap cookies in, so they have a nice crunchy exterior. You're also going to need a cookie sheet with a seal pad or a parchment lined, or grease it if you want. So I'm using a cookie scoop that is 1.5 inches. For me, this is perfect for these types of cookies because they will spread out, and this is a good size for that. But you're looking for a walnut size in your cookies. And I like the cookie scoop because you can get every single cookie the exact same size. And then you roll them up a bit, put them in sugar, and then roll them around in the sugar. And then you place them on your cookie sheet. They need to be about 2 inches apart because they will spread. My cookie sheet is a 17 or 18 by 12. If you want to give these cookies away as gifts, they're prettiest when you bake them exactly like this. They will have the traditional cracks on top, and there will be just a slight bit of chewiness in the very, very center, but they'll have that snap on the exterior. However, when I use these cookies in my Gingersnap crust, or I want a really snappy cookie that's crispy all the way through, what I will do is I will just flatten them out a bit. I just take 2 fingers and flatten them one way, and then go perpendicular, and then the other way. And I will probably do these for half of these cookies, because half of them I want to use in my Gingersnap crust, and they will be much crispier if you flatten them out. My first plate of cookies is ready for the oven, so I'm going to go ahead and place this first batch on the center rack, and we're going to bake them low and slow for 15 minutes. If you want a crispy cookie, it needs to be a lower temperature than a regularly baked cookie. A couple of tips for making crispy cookies. I typically like a chewy cookie, but for a Gingersnap, it has the word snap in the word for a reason, right? And it should be crispy. You want to minimize the ingredients that hold moisture, meaning you want to use less egg. So instead of maybe using 2 eggs in a cookie recipe, use 1. Also, granulated sugar, use that instead of brown sugar. Brown sugar will hold moisture. Granulated sugar does not, and the cookies will spread more in the oven. So change your brown sugar to granulated sugar. Also, butter spreads, shortening does not. If you want a crispy cookie, use butter instead of shortening. And you'll end up getting a thinner cookie, which will crisp up more quickly and easily than one made with other ingredients. And then finally, bake at a lower temperature. So if you usually bake at 375, bake at 350. If you usually bake for 10 to 12 minutes, push it to 15 minutes. And there you are. That's how you can get crispy cookies. Cookies are baked. We're gonna let them cool for a couple of minutes and transfer them to a cooling rack. Remember, if they're warm, they're probably gonna be a little soft. So when they cool completely, then you'll get that nice little snap. Cookies are cold, so let's take a closer look. Notice the ones that we did not flatten out look like a traditional Gingersnap cookie. They have the cracks on the top, and they've got a little bit of height to them. The ones I did flatten out to look more of like a gingerbread rolled out cookie, they're definitely a little thinner. Let's listen for the snap. So this is the one that I did not flatten out. You can hear a little bit of a snap. They're going to be a little soft on the center, but actually they're like a traditional Gingersnap cookie you'd find in the store. Now the ones that I did flatten out, let's listen to that snap. That's a much stronger snap there. If you want a really, really crunchy cookie, just flatten them out like I did here. If you want a little bit of softness and one that looks like a Gingersnap cookie, then leave it rolled without flattening it out. Okay, let's give them a taste. Hi, Scott.
Hello.
Smells like holiday time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Scott's here today to taste our Gingersnap cookies, so if you will, take a bite. What do you think? What spices do you taste?
I tasted the softer one first.
That was the one with the cracked top that we did not flatten out.
Yeah, it's good. Definitely taste the ginger, and I taste molasses.
Okay, good. Those are the prominent flavors in it. All right, and then for the snappier cookie, which is the one that we flattened out, I can definitely hear that crunch. So if you're looking for a crunchy cookie, this is it.
Yeah, definitely crunchy. You can taste that it was a little bit more evenly cooked throughout. Because
was flattened at one level before it was baked.
So you don't have really that soft middle. Is kind of what I meant.
But flavors, you like the flavors for a ginger cookie?
Flavors good.
Okay. Well, store these at room temperature for a few days. For longer storage, wrap them well and place them in the freezer for several months. This is a good cookie to start the holiday season or any time of year you want a little spice in your life. Thanks for watching. Now, bake a batch of these and enjoy the season by baking the world.